Hi everyone, I hope you're really well. Gotta remind myself again where to look at. I hope you had a lovely day, or hope you have a lovely day depending on what time you're watching this. Is it embarrassing to admit that I'm in a nightie right now? I was gonna wear my little Miffy hoodie, but it is way too hot. I'm honestly feel like I'm about to start sweating now, and you know what? I love a good nightie, so I'm just gonna own that, right? But in terms of my day today, I felt like I had a pretty good day. I felt like I got done things that I wanted to. I feel like, again, I don't know, I can't wait till I'm at the stage of my life where I'm not so afraid to write a to-do list. I think I've always been unrealistic about what I can get done in my time, and I'm trying to steer away from that sort of thinking. So I'm doing things to get things done and prioritizing it in the way that I need to. So I'm not leaving the important things or things that actually need to be done to the last minute, because I am so guilty of that. But yeah, I hate that I use my mental, my brain as a way of remembering what to do. I know that is not effective, and I think I know what I need to get done, but I just wish I just wrote a list and then just crossed it off and know, okay, this is the priority. And I don't know, I think maybe it's me not wanting to tackle the things that I'm intimidated or don't want to do, so that way I can just go and be like, oh, but I'm just gonna wash the dishes because I need to do that, which I obviously stuff, things like that. You have things like that you need to do, but when you are avoiding things because you don't want to do the things that are uncomfortable, right? So I think that's an important reflection of going, what are the things that you're avoiding and why? And I know the things I'm always seem to avoid are things I'm unfamiliar with, because I think there's a fear of me not being able to figure that out. And I find that really interesting because I have a very good example of the light bulbs in my number plate. I don't know if I brought this up yesterday, but the light bulbs in my number plate light needed replacing. And yesterday I tried to fix it, and I got new light bulbs, and I got someone at Super Cheap Auto to help me fix it. But the alert in my car kept going off. So today went back, tried to fix it again. The alert's still there. And then I'm like, well, I can just go to my family friend and ask his opinion. But I think the whole point of the story is I tried to fix it and it didn't clearly work, but there are other options, right? Whether you pay someone to help you, or you YouTube it, or even with ChatGPT now, I feel like there are just so many avenues of figuring things out. And obviously you can go to people like your family and friends, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think there's ever an instance where you have to do something where all is lost, where you're I just can't figure it out. I think I may be scared of just the unknown with these tasks, and obviously there are things you don't know, but it's you can do something about it, which is better than not doing anything at all. And I think I need to have that mentality of, and so what if you can't figure it out, right? Is that really the worst that it is? Because then you can do something to figure it out. And I do love problem solving, so I don't know why I'm so worried about not being able to work it out or find some sort of way. But yeah, just an interesting reflection. I'd love to know if any of you have any thoughts on any of that and how you overcome that in your personal life if you feel like that. The things that I didn't do is I didn't meditate and I didn't do my gratitudes today. Today was a really random day for me. So I had to go to the airport to pick someone up, so I had to wake up pretty early, and I went to bed late. I went to bed around 1, woke up at around 6, and had to leave the house at around 6:40, but I ended up leaving I think closer to 7. So I was up pretty early for not having that much sleep, and I didn't know how I was going to go, and I thought I would need to nap, but I ended up not napping, and I feel like that was actually okay. I definitely felt tired, and there was signs of feeling a headache coming, but overall I felt I was still productive, because I knew I had dinner plans today as well, or more tonight, at 6 p.m. So I knew if I need to get stuff done, I had to get it done, or otherwise it wasn't getting done. So I think that pushed me a little. But after I came back home, I went on a walk. I went to the gym, and just trying to think of my day. I felt I was just okay, let's keep the momentum going and let's get stuff done. So I didn't meditate and I didn't write my gratitudes, but I did go to the gym, the walk. I washed my hair. You can see I washed it, put some product in it. I ironed my work pants right away. There was only 2, but it just felt to get that out of the way, because that's normally something I leave to the last minute. I took my capsules that I wanted to take. I went grocery shopping. So with my dinner commitment, and I really want to talk to you guys about this because I feel like every weekend, and I think a lot of people feel like this, is that feeling of where did the time go, right? Of like, oh my god, time's just escaped me and I'm not like, getting time to do the other things that I want to. And I think when I say yes to things like today's dinner commitment, I definitely had to go, and like it's not that I didn't want to go, but it's like I think I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be there for like a few hours, or like at least 1 hour, right, for dinner. But I never account for the time like it takes me to get there and come back, because it was like where I had to go was like nearly an hour drive, so it's like nearly an hour to go there, come back, and at least an hour like at the actual like dinner. So that's like minimum a 3-hour commitment, right? And I think you need to understand, especially me, of when you like say yes to something, and if you are someone like me where you feel bad if you ever say no because you don't want to make someone else upset, or the people pleasing mentality. But it's like that's where your weekend goes. Even like I went to a housewarming yesterday, and although it was only a 10-minute drive from me, and when I stayed there for a few hours as well, it's like I had to go to the shops to get something, and although that's not like a major thing, it's like time adds up for things like that. And I think then on Friday I also went out for dinner, and it's like I don't need to do something every day. Like I would perfectly be fine just to have the day to myself to do stuff that I want to do around the house and things like that. But I think it's just when people ask to do things, I always feel a sense of guilt, like I have to say yes. But I think there's nothing wrong in being like, hey, I might actually not have something on during that time, but I have things to attend to, because there's definitely been weekends where, even if it's not someone asking to hang out, but I'm just like out doing things, and then I'm like get to Sunday at like 10 p.m. and I'm like, I've done nothing of like the things that I know will set me up well for the week, whether it's like getting the clothes ready, or going grocery shopping, doing my hair, like all this stuff just is good to, sorry, I just thought I heard something, good to tick off, to be like, oh, I'm starting the week really strong. So that I think is a good reflection in itself of life is sacrifices. Like you have to sacrifice one thing or the other. So it's like if you're fine to go out, that's great, or have a social weekend, that's really great, but then you can't be mad that you can't get the other stuff done because you can't get everything right. And I think for me, like I've been really enjoying the past few days, like making these videos, and I was really hoping this weekend I could have focused on some other content beyond these like daily reflections that I've been really like wanting to do, and I've not touched it because I just didn't have the time. But then I like reflect and I'm like, oh, that's where your time went, because you like took on all these social commitments, which is fine, but it's like I got to know that for the future now, like don't just think of it, even if it's like an hour, 2 hours, think about the other things involved. And although of course and obviously a social life is important too, it's like what are you willing to sacrifice? I think that's a really important reflection as well. I feel like I pretty much talked about everything else. I mean, something exciting for me, I did my first ever hook turn in the city today. I don't even know how to explain what a hook turn is. I'm sure everyone knows what that is. I don't know, surely that's not just like an Australian thing, but I've never had to do one before, and today I knew I didn't have to drive when I went to the city, but I wanted to because I know it's something unfamiliar, therefore uncomfortable for me, and doing it. And this is the interesting thing of when you take on uncomfortable situations, is you realize the whole entirety, I mean obviously depending on what it is, but a lot of the times like something uncomfortable actually is an uncomfortable moment rather a whole uncomfortable situation. And what I mean by that is, so up until like I got to the city, the drive was fine, right? And then once you're in the city, there are just like pockets of moments where I'm like, oh, okay, this is a bit of a tricky situation. But it's like, I feel like we put something off because we're like, I can't do it, or that's too uncomfortable, to not experience like a few moments of being uncomfortable versus, and then I think we just think the whole thing is uncomfortable. And I think we need to go through those uncomfortable moments, right? To teach ourselves like, oh, we can get through that. Because like even I went skydiving for my birthday last year, and I went with the mentality of everything in the process of skydiving, not everything, but most parts of, driving to the place where you actually go. Like, I've, driven so many places before, and like getting there and signing up or like signing in, done that before at other things, getting on a plane, like I've done that. The only thing that was really different that I've never experienced or uncomfortable was jumping out of that plane, right? Because I've never had that experience before. And then obviously the whole skydiving experience, I've never, like, that was my first time actually properly skydiving. And I think when I went into it with that mentality, it's like, if you break uncomfortable things and you're like, I've actually done so many aspects of this uncomfortable task, right? It's like, even public speaking, it's like you've walked in that room maybe before, or you've definitely walked before, right, to places, but maybe the uncomfortable part is like standing in front of a crowd. And I think that's why the exposure of these things is so important. And I think, like, I challenge you, like, it could literally be such a small thing of like saying hi to someone when you're like, I don't know if they're gonna say hi back to me, and I'm not even saying a stranger, maybe someone at work, right? Or even when you go on a walk, like smile at a person that's passing you, because like these little things I've had to do to build my confidence. I remember, like, when I first used to go on walks, I wouldn't even look at the person opposite, coming the opposite direction, because I was so shy and nervous. But now I'll like try and make eye contact, and I'll just smile, because I think it's about intent, and I know, like, I mean well, like, I just want to be friendly, right? So I don't know, I guess that's my take on uncomfortable situations and tasks that will help you grow. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts if you have any on that. I think another thing I wanted to cover is, and maybe it was just being a bit tired today, but I think it is also my personality of, when one thing feels like it goes wrong or I don't get the answer that I don't like, that I want, feeling like everything in my life is gonna go wrong or fall apart, or it's just like, what's the point, and it's just such a dramatic, like, and I think, again, I feel it more heightened when I am tired. So I think that is like natural that I felt it today, maybe because I've always been like tired, maybe that's why I've always felt like that 0 to 100 transition. But I find that interesting. I'm sure like tomorrow I'll wake up and it's very interesting, because there are definitely things last year that felt like, oh, my world's gonna end, and now I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was so melodramatic, and I think that's why that reflection is important too, to be like, yeah, I got over it, or I got through it, and I'm fine now. And like, that's not even something I think about, but it's really like challenging myself to be like, okay, that didn't work out, but did you even look at any of the other like potential solutions or ways around it, or did you just hear the no, or hear that like outcome that you didn't want, and now like you've not really considered anything else and you closed yourself? I don't know, I think maybe it's like a trust issue of like, oh, surely I can't get everything that I want in life. And like, obviously you can't get everything, but it's like, oh, life won't work out for me the way that I want it to. But it's like, oh, but why don't you try? And even if it doesn't work out exactly the way you want it to, what if it works out even better, right? It's not always like seeing things in the negative way, but seeing things for what it could be and its potential. Yeah, I wish, I'm just looking, sorry, down. Every time I look down, I'm just looking at my book where I wrote some notes that I want to bring up. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, I wish, and this is always something when I start my like Mondays, is like, I really wish on the weekend, especially on like, even if it's Sunday afternoon, to dedicate more time to like actually like preparing for the week ahead. I feel like I've not really done that today, so that is something I'd love to fit into my Sundays as like kind of like a non-negotiable, just to help me through the week. And it doesn't have to be long, even a 20-minute, like, these are the meetings I have, and anything like, or just to figure out my to-do and like my prioritization matrix, like being more consistent with that, to be like, what is actually the priority of this week, and the things I want to know. If I've had a good week this week, these were the things that were done to give me that good week, but to know that I've achieved what I need to achieve. We can go through the stats now. So again, not switching work things, because it's a Sunday for me when I'm filming this. My tabs on my laptop has gone to 34, which is only one less than when we talked about yesterday. I think this is always going to be something that was not going to be perfect, because I did go through a few emails in my personal like email, and when I do that, I'm always opening tabs to be like, what are all these things? But a good update is my personal emails is now to 695. God only wants to know what my like work emails are at now. Oh, it's always such a work in progress, isn't it? But it was at 1045 yesterday, and now it's at 695. It's annoying because I do things like this, and that's why I brought up that whole dinner thing and, like, you know, understanding the time commitment of things, because I was like, yeah, I got plenty of time, but came home and it was like, before you know it, now it's like 10 and, you know, time to go to bed. So just like reflecting on that, of giving myself time to actually get things done and not just leave it hanging, because like the email starts, I'm like, I don't want to stay up to do it and I still have to do this. So it's like, I would have loved to like at least be like at 100, so I could be like, oh, I could, this is so much more manageable. But again, it's about really just keeping on top of it. And my tabs on my phone is now at 57, which is 3 less than yesterday. Again, I just need to stop using my phone as like my little memory bank. And I'd actually want to hear your advice. Like, if people recommend things to you or you want to check things out later, what is your organization filing system for that? Because right now for me it's just open tabs, and that's definitely not productive. So I would really love to hear your thoughts on that. But that is everything. This is actually a lot longer of a video than I thought. I guess there were just a few reflections today, which was just like, you know, something I wanted to talk about. But now you'll see my room review. So bye. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, welcome to my room review. So this is the bathroom. It's, I guess in terms of the clutter to what it was before, it's better. But I didn't unfortunately get any time to go and actually declutter things, so that's still something that needs to be done. I did swap out my towels, which is pretty nice. Just a nice feeling to have fresh towels, I guess. Didn't clean the shower as well. I can open it. Sorry, I accidentally stopped filming. But yeah, it definitely needs a clean. I saw this like newsletter of this guy that I love watching his cleaning content, but he's like, says it should be done once a week, which don't know how realistic that is for me, but I do want to get it done more frequently than what I've been doing now, which is like never. This is still a mess. It's like literally just a bunch of jewelry I need to put back. It's just mainly putting the stuff on the floor away, which seems so easy, and I don't know why it gets neglected. We have just a bunch of random stuff there now. It's things that were down the stairs that I just moved up. And then all of the clutter here still remains. Same for there. And that pile just gets a bit bigger of like bedding I need to put away, and some of the pajamas. But I don't need to go through it because I have way too much now. And then my bedside tables are still like pretty cluttered. But now under the stair, or like on the stairs, there's not as much stuff. But I guess that concludes the room review.